goes on a rainbow. How about it for the Culture Blaster, Michael Snyder?
As a Giants fan, I can't tell you how pleased I am about this Shohei Ohtani news. Anything that besmirches the Dodgers is good in my book.
Oh,
and,
my God.
this is what he gets for being so showy. Anyway.
Oh, my God. I'll ding besmirches, though.
I will tell you, regardless of all this, the Shohei must go on. And I think
my God.
it's important that we get down to business. Speaking of business, here's a little old business. Last week, I reviewed a movie called The American Society of Magical Negroes, and I said that this is a very provocative title. What I didn't clarify in the haste to do the program, I didn't clarify that the magical Negro is a movie trope that we have seen in films such as The Green Mile and The Legend of Bagger Vance, where a kind and wise black character is there to aid and abet the white character. Thus, this society to diffuse interracial violence by, black members of it being kind to white people and helping them along. So it's a little more
You liked, this is my recollection, you really liked the movie, but you really liked a speech at the end of the movie.
I liked his speech at the end. I liked the movie. I had reservations about it, but I thought his speech was great. And I loved the supporting work by David Allen Greer as Justice Smith's mentor, the character Aaron's mentor. Anyway, I just wanted to
I'm glad you got the clarification in.
Yeah, man, got to do it.
Yeah.
I, as you know, am the coastal commuter. I travel between Los Angeles and San Francisco. San Francisco is my hometown. Again, my pronouns are he, him, San Franciscan. Okay. I don't want that to be any confusion. And this weekend, I will be in Los Angeles, and I wanted to bring up a show I'm going to be checking out this evening at the, it's the Hollywood American Legion Hall on Highland. Our friend, Kate Flannery, author of Striptease, the wonderful memoir about her job at American Apparel during the go-go early 2000s.
We had her on this show.
Yes, absolutely. I would call her a friend of the show.
Yeah.
And a terrific writer and a lovely woman. She is also a powerhouse singer. She is the lead vocalist of the world's premier Little Richard tribute band, Big Dick.
How could that not be a great show? This is going to be a great show.
It's tonight at the Hollywood American Legion.
What time does that start?
I believe if you get there, doors at 7. I think the show, there may be an opening act, starts at 8. But if you want to see Kate strut her stuff, she is a dynamo. And
I want to see it. I might actually go to that.
I think you would be more than welcome, Mark.
All right.
Anyway, that's old and new business before we get to the actual job of telling you what to avoid in movie land, because
now it's time to get to the real the meat of the issue.
The meat of the issue.
Now, I don't know if you have this on your agenda. I like to take it all in, as you say it, Michael Snyder. I like to be in the moment.
Yes, sir.
I live every second as though it was my last. And so with utter spontaneity, I ask you this question. I've heard different things about Ghostbusters. Are you going to review the new Ghostbusters movie?
Well, this now franchise has been in existence since the landmark year 1984.
Wow.
And I'm just going to say that it's my lead review, Mark.
Oh,
the new Ghostbusters movie, picking up 2 years after a pretty damned good reboot / sequel, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire brings together the previous film's principal characters, the Spengler family.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
These guys are the spawn of an original Ghostbuster from the beloved first movie in the franchise, the dearly departed in the movies and in real life Egon Spengler, played by the late Harold Ramis, who was a creative force behind the original Ghostbusters. There's also Mom Spengler's boyfriend, Gary, their allies, some classic ghosts, previously unseen ghosts, and ghost-adjacent newbies, and the surviving primary cast members of those earlier installments. By the way, no sign of the women from the female Ghostbusters reboot of a few years ago. The less said about that, the better. The result here is a too-crowded affair that's long on fan service and short on laughs.
Oh,
there's supposed to be a...
who's that? Paul Rudd in the poster that I see?
Yeah, absolutely. I
Who
will
else?
blame
Timothy Chalamet's in it?
No, it's the new Timothy Chalamet. No, it's the kid Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things.
Oh, of course.
He plays Callie. Spengler's son, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, let me just clarify here. I'm not going to blame the cast for the issues here, but and I'm going to admit, like, their brief and emotionally resonant appearance in Afterlife, it's initially great to see old hands Dan Aykroyd as proto-Ghostbuster Ray Stantz, Ernie Hudson as his colleague Winston Zeddemore, and in what amounts to little more than a cameo, Bill Murray as Dr. Peter Venkman, all three surviving members of the cast. And I got to say, you also get Annie Potts, who was their secretary in the original movies, and she's back here now, a full-fledged Buster. But they are all secondary to Afterlife's Carrie Coon. Love her in The Gilded Age on HBO. She plays Mom Callie Spengler. Paul Rudd is back as Callie's boyfriend, Gary, who's like a high school teacher. Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things as Callie's son, Trevor. And McKenna Grace as Callie's daughter, Phoebe. Brainy little Phoebe. And she seriously looks like she could be the granddaughter of Harold Ramis as Egon Spengler. So the plot, such as it is, concerns the Spenglers, ex-Midwesterners, now having moved to New York City, and the Ghostbusters Vintage Firehouse headquarters at the behest of the now wealthy Winston, and he brings them there to fight the spectral nuisances that have begun to plague the Big Apple once again, like they did in the original Ghostbusters films. So they're careening around Manhattan in the classic Ghostbusters ambulance. They're sucking rogue ghosts into their proton packs and imprisoning them back at the HQ while leaving a swath of destruction in their wake that the mayor isn't taking too kindly to.
Yeah, that would be a rough... Behest is a ding.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So Slimer, the Stay Puft Mini Marshmallow Brigade, other fun-loving creatures are back, but an ancient, more sinister ghost lurks within an artifact, and if unleashed, he's going to bring eternal winter to the world.
Oh, no.
It's not a spoiler alert to say that the temperature is going to drop. This thing is called Frozen Empire, right?
Yeah.
No big bad, no action. Anyway, in short order, this menace brings Kumail Nanjiani from Silicon Valley and Marvel's Eternals onto the scene as someone who may be the key to saving humanity from the deep freeze. And, of course, Aykroyd's Ray, who owns an occult shop, and Murray's Peter, who's something of a paranormal expert, are enlisted by Hudson's Winston and the Spenglers to join the battle. Okay, the opening sequence shows promise, and these are all talented performers, but Frozen Empire tries to do so much, such as adding a new mythology to the franchise, and with so many characters vying for screen time, the performances seem diluted. I think Murray is in 3 scenes and maybe has 7 lines. I don't. As the surprise at the end of Afterlife, seeing these old hands and a computer-generated Ramis, very emotionally satisfying. And here they're given short shrift, and even at its most frenzied, Frozen Empire feels a little cranked out. And the watchword should be product, not inspiration. Quick family note, Jason Reitman, son of Ghostbusters director Ivan Reitman, directed and co-authored Afterlife and honored the original property. He also co-wrote Frozen Empire with its director Gil Keenan, so he shares some of the responsibility. If this makes dough, another sequel is almost assured. I just hope it's leaner, more cohesive, and funnier. Mark, before we move on to the next film, a song comes to mind. If there's something wrong with your screenplay, bub, who you going to call? Script doctors. Where the hell were those guys? Anyway, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire's in theaters.
Yeah, you felt that the script needed to work, huh? It's tough when you're trying to pack all of those appearances, cameos, and others into...
Absolutely. And there's a female ghost that Phoebe's character meets, and there's like the 2 kids from the prior film. They shoehorn them in just too much.
Tom says cohesive. It's true. It's a ding word. Yeah, good catch.
All right. Wait, I got a movie that I'm crazy about. Are you ready? And this is something I think you ought to see, despite the fact that it has, horror genre trappings.
Okay.
Leaning into the found footage horror movie technique, the fraternal Aussie writing directing team of Colin Cairns and Cameron Cairns has made one of my favorite movies of the year so far, Late Night with the Devil, ostensibly mixing a lost episode of a syndicated American late night talk show from 1977 with behind-the-scenes footage And the result is a sort of scary version of the Gary Shandling show.
I love this premise. Oh, my God, it's brilliant.
I mean this in the best possible way. Very Gary Shandling, but horror. Okay.
I love it.
The thing that I think you're going to love beyond the premise is that it is a stunningly accurate conjuring of a late-night talker of the era with a note-perfect approximation of the fatuous patter, the band, the sets, the art direction, the broadcast title cards, and the video quality, including aspect ratio and, video artifacts. So all that's on screen.
Oh, that's great.
And it's slyly amusing when it isn't freaking you out. So here's the situation. Jack Delroy, played by David Dastmalchian of the Suicide Squad and Oppenheimer, that's an alpha and omega there. Yeah. He's the ambitious and smarmy host of Night Owls, and professionally and personally frustrated by being continually beaten in the ratings by Johnny Carson. So after the tragic death of Jack's wife, the ratings for Night Owls have gotten worse. He decides to pull out all the stops for the show's Halloween episode by bringing on the young survivor of a satanic cult, her psychologist, who swears the girl is demonically possessed, and a smug debunker of the paranormal. And there's also like a mentalist, like Criswell, like one of those guys.
Oh, yeah, of course. Sure.
They bring that guy out.
Like Kreskin.
Yeah, like Kreskin or Criswell. Both of them were like beloved on talk shows.
Yeah.
All right, the resulting program, as we see on screen, seems to be going where you presume it's going to go until it overturns more than a few of the expectations you might have. And that's even if you're a gore-loving horror movie fan. And all the while, the filmmakers do a bang-up job of recreating that whole television studio with a live audience scene, with Dastmalchian nailing Jack, whether pandering for approval from the crowd, kissing a guest's ass, demeaning his obsequious sidekick, hit the ding word.
Yes.
Obsequious.
But there's also something before that.
Throwing to commercial, panicking over what transpires on the show.
Transpires.
Dastmalchian and the rest of the cast and the Cairns brothers absolutely slayed with this. In short, I was blown away by Late Night with the Devil. It was almost as frightening as Colbert and Seth Meyers making me laugh about the horror of Donald Trump every night.
What is the horror? It's gory or something, or what?
There are moments, but I'm just saying.
The gore doesn't really bother me. It's that intense cruelty and that torture stuff. I can't take that.
It's not cruelty. This is a horror movie.
Okay.
If you were able to sit through the original Exorcist, this will be like nothing. Okay. This will be a walk in the park with a hatchet.
Was The Exorcist a good starter horror movie for me?
I think if that was your experience, yes.
Okay. Anyway, this is good. Late Night. Where can I see this?
Late Night with the Devil. It's in theaters, but it will be streaming on Shudder in a number of weeks. If you're
on Shudder?
Shudder, SHUDDER.
That's the horror platform?
A horror platform, yes.
Okay, all right. Oh, wow.
I love it.
Okay, man, it sounds really great. I think I love it, too.
I really think it's up your alley, and I wouldn't recommend a horror movie to you unless it was something couched in this sort of amazing recreation of the 70s late-night talk show. Okay, the remake of the cult 1989 Patrick Swayze action movie Roadhouse is actually a lot of fun. I went in there with a chip on my shoulder. I wasn't crazy about the original. I thought, what are they going to do here? You have an uncommonly buff Jake Gyllenhaal in the lead as an ex-UFC fighter on the run from past transgressions. So you got the MMA thing going on. In fact, they could have called this Roadhouse MMA, as far as I'm concerned. And in fact, one of the movie's heavies is Irish mixed martial arts champ Conor McGregor. And, he's got quite a presence. Yeah. And among the highlights of this remake, and there are quite a few, are the ultra-violent face-offs between Gyllenhaal's Dalton and the members of a biker gang, and his showdowns with McGregor's mega-ripped psycho enforcer. In need of cash, the Dalton character, played by Gyllenhaal, agrees to work as a bouncer at a Florida Keys bar in a small town run by the scumbag son of a mobster who is languishing in jail. And, it's one of those things where the son wants to trump the father, outdo the father. And he's under the guy's thumb, even though the guy's in jail. So this father-son duo wants to buy up the Roadhouse, since it's the last piece of beachfront property that they don't control in the area. Mm-hmm. So the owner of the Roadhouse doesn't want to sell, And since the bar has been in her family for years, she's adamant the mobsters send a parade of thugs to the roadhouse to pressure her out and make her, agree to give up the space. Only the onslaught is met by Dalton's fists and feet, sending a parade of goons to the local hospital where Dr. Ellie, a potential love interest for Dalton, has to patch them up. It's one of those.
She's the hot doc?
Yeah, she's the hot doc, played by Daniela Melchior, who, by the way, was also in Suicide Squad, just to make another connection to a previous film.
Wow.
Oh,
nobody likes her.
Incidentally, the local cops are corrupt, of course, and they're led by a veteran cop whose name is, or nickname is, Big Dick. Talk about crazy coincidences.
Wow, that is with it. Yeah,
we got Kate's band.
Tonight, which is performing. Yeah.
So there's a lot of decent music played by some legit musicians, including Rockin' Dopsy and the Zydeco Twisters. There's some good bands performing in that Roadhouse.
Wow.
It's unbelievably offensive.
And there's apprentice bouncers who are there to learn from Dalton, and the requisite dirty cops enthralled to the bad guys. And the tropical Keys setting means that, yes, fans of Friday Fabulous Florida, a croc figures into the story at one point.
I love it.
It's Gator love. And the screenplay actually goes where you want it to go.
There's a reason that this place is fun.
The fight scenes in the bar, the parking lots, even on the water are brutally effective. And in general, Roadhouse is a blast. I kept thinking, wow, this is better than it has any right to be. And then I saw that the director was Doug Liman, who has brought us some fine movies, from Edge of Tomorrow to The Bourne Identity to Mr. and Mrs. Smith, all the way back to Swingers. I mean, Liman brought the flair, and Gyllenhaal brought the heat to Roadhouse, and it rocked. And it's on Amazon Prime Video. It's not even in theaters.
Wow, that's great. Never have to leave your couch to see that hunk that is Jake Gyllenhaal handle those other hunky people who try to out-hunk him.
Yeah, it's a
hunk-off.
It's a hunkathon.
I really am excited about this.
Put up your pants, my man. Pull up those pants.
Let's do a couple of quick shorts before we head out.
All right.
Sleeping Dogs is a crime drama and a mystery, and it had many of the ingredients that I like in a film noir thriller, including an anti-heroic lead played by a solid character actor. In this case, Russell Crowe.
Wow.
As an ex-police detective dealing with Alzheimer's, undergoing a radical new treatment, and then thrust into reassessing a murder conviction from years back as his memory comes and goes.
Wow, that's actually a really cool premise.
The premise is terrific. Depending on what the ex-cop discovers, he could possibly save the life of a man on death row.
Wow.
The science is ridiculous.
There are also shady suspects, including a femme fatale played by one of my movie and TV sweethearts, Karen Gillan, from Guardians of the Galaxy and a Doctor Who companion back in the day, and an unscrupulous academic played by Martin Sokas. Plus, a weird man caught up in a romantic obsession, the detective's former partner on the force whose morals are in question, and so on. But for all the possibilities in the setup and all the potentially engrossing elements, Sleeping Dogs performs no new tricks. It just lopes from scene to scene, then stops in its tracks for a bit before moving forward again. And by the end, you're neither surprised nor enlightened by what you've just watched.
Well, that's too bad. So it kind of fizzles.
Yeah, it's in theaters, Sleeping Dogs. And we have a Bay Area connection to this last thing, and I'll just briefly say how much I enjoyed it and how informative it was. While kind of skirting being lurid, Carol Doda topless at the Condor.
All ding lurid. Yep.
Is a documentary starting at the beginning of Doda's career as a waitress at the Condor Club at the corner of Broadway and Columbus in San Francisco.
Still there, I think.
Well, her image is still there, but she, of course, is...
Well, no, she's gone, of course,
gone.
but I'm just saying that the Condor Club is still there.
So she becomes an absolute firestorm, one of the biggest tourist attractions in San Francisco, when she agrees. She always was dancing as a cocktail waitress, and she actually decides to get up on a piano and shimmy, and soon she's taken off her top because Rudy Gernrich has invented the monokini, which is the topless swimsuit. And so that becomes a thing, and they start testing the limits of San Francisco law, what the police department is going to do in terms of shutting down these massively popular clubs at the time on Broadway.
Right.
And we see changes in America's morality. We see the flowering of the bohemian lifestyle reaching a new level from beatniks to hippies in the 60s. There's all this great found footage. There are interviews with Doda. And, directors Marlo McKenzie and Jonathan Parker have made an amazing time capsule of Doda's life as a performer with a little bit of a hint here and there about her earlier life, which is kind of shrouded in a bit of mystery, but also the impact that she had on the culture and, what ended up happening to her when the topless dance craze kind of died out. And
this actually could be really great, especially if you've been in and around San Francisco at all during the time she was there, and she was there for a long time.
There's so much great footage from North Beach, and as a homeboy, I was I was loving every second of it. There's archival stuff from local broadcasts, from KRON and other various television stations. There are interviews with her. Father Miles Riley, who was he was a minister who actually was a broadcaster, a charming, handsome, hippie priest, if you will. He's interviewing her at one point. I did enjoy most everything about Carol Doda, Topless at the Condor. It is in theaters in the Bay Area, Los Angeles, and New York, and it's going to be fun to watch on video.
I'm really excited to see it. I'll tell you, for those who don't know, who might not have been to San Francisco or not familiar with this area, so this thing, this club, the Condor Club, is on the corner of North Beach, as Michael had said. And at the time, and there's still a couple of them now, but at the time, there were, of course, long ago, there were guys in coats and ties who were there at that place.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it was like one of those places. But when I was there in San Francisco in the 80s, there were a bunch of other clubs that are like these adult clubs with dancers like Carol Doda there, right? And I'll never forget. And they have these guys out front, okay? So you have to imagine like this row of these places. Maybe there are 4 on one side of the street and there's 6 on the other side of the street. And you're walking past them, they've got the lights that are going around and the neon or whatever it is. They're just trying to get you to come in because the cover charge is, high.
They are essentially barkers.
Yeah, so they've got these guys out on the street. There's one right there. So there's a talent to being those barkers, to being on the street. And the guy said to me, I'll never forget, I'm walking with a buddy of mine, West North Beach, we're walking to the car or whatever after dinner, and he says, "Hello, gentlemen. Want to see something really obscene?"
Nice.
They would say all this outrageous stuff to try to get you to come in.
Well, there are interviews with surviving dancers that were her colleagues and who were convinced to also go topless at the time. And there's a whole section about her willingness to have her breasts enlarged and what that ended up being problematic. And at the same time, attention grabbing. And also, the sidebar is at the time that she was on the rise, Lenny Bruce was playing clubs and getting busted for obscenity, the famous groundbreaking comedian and an orator. And it's just pretty fascinating stuff from beginning to end.
That's really great. I look forward to that. She was a Bay Area kid. She was born in Vallejo.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm excited to see that. All right, a quick review of what you've heard from the Great Culture Blaster. You've heard that this Carol Doda, Topless at the Condor, is really great, filled with San Francisco history and the history of really being a free speech advocate in your own way as a topless dancer at a time when limits were being tested. That's in theaters now, but it'll be streaming soon. Sleeping Dogs is the Russell Crowe, I think, super intriguing detective or law enforcement guy who's called back in to a case that he'd originally had a take on, that he might have new takes on, even as he himself is engulfed by Alzheimer's. That is in theaters. Michael did like the premise, but he felt that it failed ultimately as a film in holding together and being something that was enjoyable. Roadhouse is the Jake Gyllenhaal offering. Look at that handsome hunk. Jake Gyllenhaal, can't get enough of him.
Girl, you just woo.
That's right.
Man. The gall of Gyllenhaal. Jake Gyllenhaal actually had the cojones to remake a Patrick Swayze cult classic.
It is, but don't you think Kim is muted? But she's come back on to say, I'm sure she likes.
I was just going to say, I understand he's really ripped in this movie. He's been working out nonstop or something.
Mm-hmm.
Kim, he actually played a boxer, believably, in a previous film. And here you buy him as an MMA guy. And in fact, the fight scenes are first rate. And Conor McGregor and Jake Gyllenhaal, that's the prize I never thought I wanted out of my movies. And man, they're just pounding the hell out of one another. And I don't mean it,
No, I get what you're saying.
Good morning.
What?
Yeah,
Put up your pants, my man. Pull up those pants.
Anyway, that is Jake Gyllenhaal in Roadhouse. That is on Amazon Prime, so you can, sketch out about Jake Gyllenhaal on your own couch.
Yeah, this is not Oscar material. This is just a lot of fun.
It's an indulgence.
with your iron rod.
Yeah, you can smash it right there in the privacy of your own home. Now, Late Night with the Devil is the horror film that Michael really likes. It is a blend between a late night talk show and talk show host and
basically the occult, which creates one of those lost episodes that we're never supposed to see, and someone unearths it along with behind-the-scenes footage. I just loved everything about this movie, and
yeah, you really like it, and it's in theaters now, probably coming to streaming on that streaming service.
Shudder. It'll be coming on the horror streaming service. But don't be put off by the word horror. I mean, if you like the elevated horror of things like The Exorcist or maybe something as recent as Hereditary, this is not as high-flown.
Well, Hereditary is creepy as hell, man. I mean, I cannot take that.
This is a different thing. This is funny.
This isn't creepy.
Well, it has its moments. I'm telling you, you're going to be a little jolted, Mark, but it's still what it says and what it does regarding the television of the era and that sort of situation. Oh, one more quick.
I have a fragile psyche, Michael.
It's not a spoiler alert to say there is a connection to Northern California, but I won't say anything further than that.
And finally, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Michael wasn't crazy for it. Felt it was overstuffed.
Yeah.
Very hard to make all of these characters show up and have business that works, but more to the point, he felt the overall business didn't work.
Now, I was a little frosty on it.
Oh, God. I'm seeing why your drop isn't winning now.
Wait, come on now.
Yeah.
Let's not make this a popularity contest.
Everything is going extremely well.
All right, so he says, honestly, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is missable. Let me ask you something, though. If I wanted to go see it, even though I'm, obviously taking stock of your review, do I need to have seen the last one?
Yeah, because it's better. Frankly, it's a good movie. This is just, product.
Find Michael Snyder in where, Michael? Where are you being published now?
I am currently, for one more week.
You've gotten a lot of offers, I know, from other rags that want you to come over and work for them.
One more week at the Marina Times. You can read my piece on flavors and tastes in their current issue, all about the sense memory of taste, and it's one of those things which you just have to read it to get it.
Yeah.
And then
Fantastic.
I am moving to a new publication starting at the beginning of April, and I'm really happy and excited about Voice of San Francisco.
I love it. Voice of San Francisco, yeah. So we're going to be able to help you promote that, and you're going to do very well there. And I'm excited that you're moving.
I'll be doing better than my drop, probably.
The drop that Michael is talking about is...
This is a classic Mark Thompson time waster.
It's time waster. It has 31% of the vote. Sadly, the drop with 68% of the vote is...
Where are my weed smokers at?
So right now you vote for...
Where are my weed smokers at?
Or Michael's drop is the...
This is a classic Mark Thompson time waster.
So 68% to 31%. It's not, anything could happen. You're voting till midnight tonight in the community section of our YouTube channel.
I just want to say over and over again how much I love our audience. I love you all, no matter how you vote. But
don't pander to the audience.
No, I love them no matter how they vote.
He comes and goes on a rainbow. Bye-bye, Michael.
Go Giants. We've got a chance to make some noise this year.
You do. You do. Wow. Michael Snyder, everybody. Very, very impressive.
The Mark Thompson Show.